Hey, my lovely ChetChatters. So what is the difference between the train arrives at 6 p.m. and the train will arrive at 6 p.m.? How do we decide whether to say my brother lives in France or my brother is living in France? Well, I recently did a detailed masterclass on all the 12 tenses, and these are the types of questions that you asked me in the chat. So today's lesson is a deep dive into present tenses, all 4 of them: present simple, present continuous or progressive, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. And we are going to learn the correct usage of each of these tenses, differences between them where most of the students make mistakes, the structure of the positive, negative, and interrogative or question form in that tense, rules of verb changes, exceptions, common mistakes, and lots of examples, and a short quiz at the end. So let's get going. Hey, this is Chetna and you're on ChetChat, and this content is also available as a podcast on Skill Up with ChetChat on Spotify. First, let's talk about simple present tense. The simple present tense is used for things that are general, somewhat timeless and permanent. Let's look at 7 specific usage conditions for the simple present tense. 1 is habitual actions. These are routines, habits and actions that occur regularly or repeatedly. Example, she goes for a walk every morning. The intent is to say that it is always practiced as a rule. It's a habit. I read your comments every day. I really do. So make sure you leave me a comment. 2. General facts or truths. The present simple is used to state general facts, scientific truths, or universal statements. Example, the earth revolves around the sun. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. The 3rd usage of the simple present tense is for permanent states or characteristics. Example, she speaks 3 languages fluently. I love you. I really do. But notice how this is always said in simple present tense. A permanent state. I love you forever, not I am loving you. My brother has a blue car. Notice that even though we are using the word has, this is not a perfect tense. This is simple present tense. And the word has here means ownership. My brother owns a blue car, has a blue car. 4. We use simple present tense for scheduled events or timetables. These are fixed schedules or future events that are part of a regular plan. Example, the train departs at 9 a.m. This event will take place in the future, but there's a regular timetable. This train regularly departs at 9 a.m. So much so that it has become a permanent scheduled event, like a fact or a habit. The concert starts at 7:30 p.m. So what's the difference between these 2 sentences? My class starts at 8 a.m. My class will start at 8 a.m. Leave me a comment below with your answers. The first one is simple present tense. We're trying to say here that the class is a scheduled class, fixed for every Friday or whatever. But there's a permanent, unchanging nature to this class happening at 8 a.m. The second one is simple future tense. This is also correct. There is nothing wrong if you write it like this. But there is an additional layer of meaning that perhaps it is a one-off class. Or maybe I'm drawing attention to the fact that I need to rush because I'm running late. My class will start at 8 a.m. I need to rush. With simple future tense, the focus is on today's class. It's not on the fact that this class happens regularly at the same time. In language, we need to decide our intent. What do we want to convey? And then choose the appropriate tense. The 5th use of simple present tense is narrative. Now, present creates a sense of immediacy, making the event feel more vivid and engaging. So what is the difference between I walk down the street and suddenly I spot my old friend versus I walked down the street and I saw my old friend? Both are correct. The first is in simple present and the second one in simple past. The only difference is that the excitement of the sudden chance meeting is lost when we use the past tense. Example, I now pronounce you man and wife is instantaneous, exciting, sudden, simple present tense. 6. Instructions and directions. We use the simple present tense to give instructions or directions like a live action. First you open the box, then insert the batteries, and finally you switch it on. Leave me a comment below and add the hashtag ChetChatters. Simple instructions given in present simple tense. Okay, and now it's shout out time. And this week it goes to Karthik Chaturvedi for this spectacular awesome sauce message under my last video. And if you want a shout out, leave me a comment below and add the hashtag ChetChatters. Simple present tense instructions. The 7th use of simple present tense is for expressions of time and frequency. We use it with adverbs of frequency like always, often, sometimes, never, rarely to describe how often some things happen. Example, she always arrives on time. I rarely watch TV. This is true. Which is your favorite TV show? Now, here are the 21 adverbs of frequency ranked from 100% to 0% chance of happening. You can take a screenshot. This is not a rule. I have just tried to put them in some order to help you. Now, let's look at the structure of the affirmative, negative statements and the questions in simple present tense. The positive statement is subject plus base form of verb. I, you, we, they work, live, dance, do. He, she, it, third person singular, works, lives, dances, does. And if you want a detailed video on do, does and did, I'm going to drop a link below. There are 4 rules here of how the verbs change for he, she, it, third person singular. Firstly, with most regular verbs, we add an S like he walks, she cooks, the dog sleeps. But for some of these verbs that have the endings, as you can see, we add an ES. I've put some examples on the screen. Third are verbs that end in Y and they are preceded by a consonant. Change the Y to IES for third person singular. Here are some examples. However, if the Y is preceded by a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, simply add S. And here are some examples. The 4th one is irregular verb forms, which you will have to learn by practice. Example, she has a dog. The base form is have. She does his homework. The base form is do. He goes to the park. The base form is go. Here is a list which you can take a screenshot of. Negative statements, the structure is subject plus do, does plus not plus main verb. Pro tip, the do, does plus not always comes before the main verb. Once again, I, you, we, they do not or don't, and he, she, it does not or doesn't. They don't work. She doesn't like spicy food. Me neither. Comment below if you like spicy food. They don't communicate with each other. This parrot doesn't speak at all. Now, interrogative form. WH question word optional plus do, does plus subject plus base form of verb and question mark. Do you like coffee? Okay, coffee lovers, tell me which type of coffee you like. Does she play the guitar? Or when does she play the guitar? Do they speak Spanish? Once again, I, you, we, they do, and he, she, it does. Now notice these 2 statements. Does it rains in August? Is wrong. Does it rain in August? Is correct. When the main verb is preceded by an auxiliary verb like do, does, can, must, the main verb always remains in its original form, both in statements and in questions. He can runs. He can run is correct. Tense number 2 is present continuous tense. The present continuous tense is used in the context of what is happening now, right now, or around now. Something that is temporary, as opposed to simple present tense which had a more permanent texture. The focus of present continuous is on the duration of the activity. It's on the unfinished nature of the activity. It's on the fact that it's a temporary activity. This is also called the progressive tense, since actions are in progress at the time of speaking. Let's look at the 6 specific usage conditions for present continuous tense. 1. Actions happening at the moment of speaking. You are learning tenses right now. I am writing a book. Well, I'm not literally writing it just at this exact moment, but the activity of writing a book is in progress around now. I am writing a book. 2. Temporary actions and situations. We are staying at a hotel while our house is being renovated. Okay, so what is the difference between he lives in Dallas versus he is living in Dallas? Leave me a comment below with your answers. The first is present simple, and our intent here is to say that Dallas is his permanent home. Remember, simple present, general, permanent, habits, universal truths. The second is present continuous. Now, while both statements are correct, the second one has an added layer of meaning of being temporary. We are trying to say that perhaps he is living in Dallas at the moment, but he might move soon to another place. Or that's what we think. 3. Future arrangements and plans. We are meeting at the cafe tomorrow morning. Okay, tell me the difference between these 3 expressions coming up on your screen. The team travels to New York every month. The team will travel to New York next week for the conference. The team is traveling to New York next week for the conference. Leave me a comment below with your answers. The first is in simple present tense. We use this if it's a general fact or habit. This seems to be a regular periodic conference every month. The second is simple future tense. A simple statement of fact in the future. They will travel. This could be a one-off event perhaps. The third one is present continuous. Here there is an added layer. We are trying to say that perhaps the tickets are already booked, plans are set, work is already begun for the conference, the process has begun. Now when I go out for a walk, I tell Simbi, I am going for a walk, I'll be back soon. The going part is already in progress. I may have worn my shoes already and the process has begun. So we use present continuous. 4. For expressing annoyance or complaint. Why is he always interrupting me? Oops, it can be very annoying indeed. She's constantly asking for help with her homework. This usage is for ongoing actions causing frustration, and the use of always, constantly, and forever adds further emphasis to the annoyance. They are forever complaining about the weather. 5. For describing trends or changes. The climate is getting warmer each year. More people are using electric cars these days. It's like a trend and it's moving in a certain direction. Tomato prices are rising of late. Yes, tomatoes are fast becoming apples. 6. For repeated actions with always. She is always talking about her travels. Do you have that friend who keeps talking about their exciting life? The kids are always playing in the backyard. What is the difference between these 2 sentences? He is always forgetting his keys and he always forgets his keys. Leave me a comment below with your answers. Both are talking about repeated actions or habits. The second one, he forgets his keys, indicates a general statement of fact. It simply states that he always forgets his keys from time to time, like it's a habit, and we have accepted it. The first one, in the present continuous, has a layer of talking about an ongoing or repetitive action. The focus is on the frequency of the action and that he regularly forgets his keys. The added sort of meaning that we are trying to say is we are trying to complain or we are annoyed about this repeated action and we are hoping that he will stop forgetting. Now we have discussed all the 12 tenses in detail in the masterclass and I'm going to drop a link below. But let's now talk about some common mistakes and situations where present continuous tense is not used. First, the present continuous tense is not used to describe permanent or unchanging states or characteristics. She is being a doctor is incorrect. Being a doctor? No, she is a doctor is correct. Second, the present continuous tense is not used to express general truths or facts that are always true. The earth is revolving around the sun? No, this is a general truth. The earth revolves around the sun. The next one, where the present continuous tense is not commonly used, is for actions that are part of someone's daily routine or habits. I am brushing my teeth every morning is not correct. It implies a one-time action. I brush my teeth every morning is correct. Now, you know about stative verbs. So, stative verbs are those which are used to describe emotions, thoughts, opinions, senses, or a state of being. These are not typically used in the present continuous tense. She is wanting a new phone is incorrect. Or want is a stative verb. She wants a new verb is correct. There is an informal exception to this. If we say, I'm loving this place, it breaks all the rules of grammar, but we can say it informally to mean that I temporarily am in this new place, which I love. Now let's look at the structure. We're talking about present continuous, and we look at the structure in the three forms. So for a positive statement, we use subject plus be, which is am, is, are, plus the verb in the base form plus ing. I am talking. You, we, they are listening. He, she, it is watching. I am. You, we, they are. He, she, it is. Negative statement subject plus the be plus not plus verb ing plus an optional object. I am not studying right now. This contracts to I ain't studying right now. He is not playing piano, or he isn't playing video games. They aren't working on the project. Now, questions. You can have a WH question word optional plus be plus subject plus verb ing plus question mark. What are they doing? Is he leaving? Am I running late? Are you studying right now? Exception alert. Now, almost in all cases, the ing form of the verb is like an indicator of continuous tense. But do you know if there are any exceptions? Comment below and tell me. One exception is asleep. He is asleep is the same as he is sleeping, which is present continuous tense. Also, one more thing. Look at these two sentences. Swimming is her favorite activity. He is swimming hard. Which one of these is not in present continuous tense? Leave me a comment below with your answers. Just because you spot the ing word in a sentence, it doesn't always mean that it is in present continuous. The second one is present continuous. He is swimming hard. But in the first one, swimming is used as a noun. Swimming is her favorite activity. This type of noun is called a gerund. Now, let's look at the rules of how different verb types convert into ing form. Rule number 1. Most regular verbs follow the regular pattern of base form of verb plus ing. Now, for example, rule number 2. If a verb ends in e, drop the e and add ing. Here are some examples. Rule number 3, if a verb ends in ie, change ie to y and add ing. For example, rule number 4, if a verb ends in a consonant, vowel, consonant, single consonant except x or w with a single vowel before it, then double the final consonant before adding ing. For example. And rule number 5, in British English, for verbs ending in L, double the L before adding ing. But in American English, this remains at a single L. Example. Tense number 3 is present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is a versatile verb form, and it's used to express many different types of actions and states that have a connection to the present moment. Let's explore the 7 different types of usages for the present perfect tense. 1. To express past actions with present relevance. Okay, so what is the difference between he found keys on the floor? He has found keys on the floor. Leave me a comment below with your answers. The first one is simple past. It's like a fact. He found something. We could add some specific date and time information maybe to complete. He found keys on the floor last night. The second one is in present perfect tense. We use this when we want to add another layer of information. This information of finding keys may have some connection to the present moment. Maybe someone was looking for them. We could write it as he has just found the keys on the floor. This event of finding keys happened at an indefinite time in the past and is commonly used with adverbs such as just, already, yet, and recently. Now, what is the difference between these four statements? I am learning French. I learn French every Monday. I have learnt French. I learnt French last year. Leave me a comment below with your answers. The first is present continuous, meaning I am learning it as of now. It's a temporary condition and it's happening right now or around now. The second is present simple. It's a fact. I do this every Monday. The focus here is on the habit, on the regular and permanent nature of the activity. The third one is present perfect, a past completed action with an impact on the present. The speaker has chosen to use this tense because perhaps they are trying to say that they are fluent in French, they have learnt it. Is like saying, I know the language and right now I can handle the situation. The fourth one is simple past. The focus here is on when I did the activity in the past, last year. P.S. I actually am trying to learn French. Je parle français. Merci beaucoup. 2. To talk about unspecified time. I have visited Delhi. For instance, we do not say yesterday, last year. The time of the visit is not mentioned. The present perfect tense is not concerned with when the action happened, only that it has occurred and there could be some connection to the present. 3. For experiences in life. Have you ever traveled to Europe? Asking about the experience of traveling to Europe in a person's life. The present perfect is used to talk about life experiences and accomplishments. What is the difference between I have visited my grandma 3 times this week, I visited grandma 3 times last week, I visit grandma 3 times a week? The first one is present perfect. We will say this week because it has an incomplete and indefinite period of time. We might meet grandma more times also. It's not over yet. The second one is past tense. Last week, completed time period. It's over. The third one is a fact. Simple present tense. I always visit grandma 3 times a week. It's a rule. They have never traveled overseas. It's often used with expressions like ever, never, before, once, and many times. 4. To describe actions that began in the past and continue to the present. Now, what is the difference between these statements? He has lived in Goa since 2020. He lived in Goa. He is living in Goa for the past few years. Leave me a comment below with your answers. The difference between these statements is very subtle. The first is in present perfect, and this implies that he started living in the city in 2010 and he still lives there, indefinite time period. The present perfect is used when emphasizing the connection between the starting point and the present moment. It's often used with time expressions like for, since, all my life, and lately. The second one is the simple past, and it seems like a completed action. Not sure if he's living there right now. Usually, you add a date and time reference and you get more context. He lived in Goa in 2020. The third one is present continuous, where the focus is on the continuing action of living there and the emphasis is on the duration for the past few years. Now let's talk about another common mistake, for versus since. For plus period of time, 2 months. Since plus point of time, March. I have been studying English for 5 years. I have been learning English since 2018. The fifth use of present perfect tense is with indefinite past time. We've already discussed this topic earlier. Now, the present perfect can be used with expressions that refer to an indefinite past time, such as earlier, in the past, this month, etc. It emphasizes the relevance of the action to the present. What is the difference between she has visited Europe last month and she visited Europe last month? The first one is incorrect. Present perfect tense cannot be used with finished time periods. We need to use simple past for that. The second one is correct. Simple past tense. She has visited Europe this year is correct. She has visited Europe recently is correct. 6. For recent news or events. The plane has landed. We have learnt present tense completely. The deal has been struck. The present perfect is used to talk about recent events or news, especially when the specific time of the event is not important. 7. To express accomplishments. They have won the championship. Especially when you use it with words like achieve, accomplish, complete, and gain, you're talking about the present perfect tense. Maria has completed the triathlon race in record time. Now it's time to look at the structure. In positive statements, it's subject plus has have plus past participle. The past participle of regular verbs is made by adding ed. For example, work becomes worked. For irregular verbs, eat changes to eaten, go changes to gone, etc. And we already know that I, you, we, they have, and he, she, it has. Negative statements. Subject, have, has, not, past participle of the main verb. The not comes after has, have. I have not seen the movie yet. She has not finished her assignment. They have not traveled to Europe. Question form. Has, have, subject, past participle of the main verb, question mark. Have you visited the new museum? Has he completed the project on time? Have they seen the latest episode? The have and has shift before the subject in the question form. And if there are WH words, they would come right at the beginning. Where have you been? And the final present tense, present perfect continuous tense. This one is used rarely, but is used to describe actions or events that started in the past, continue in the present, and may also continue into the future. It emphasizes duration or ongoing nature of the action. Let's say your friend asked you these 3 questions. Have you finished your work today? What are you doing right now? And how long have you been working on the project? The answers to these questions will tell us clearly the difference between the 3 tenses and their focus. Now you've got to leave me a comment below with your answers. Have you finished your work today? Is present perfect tense, and your response would be yes, I have finished my work. The focus is on the completion of the work. What are you doing right now? Is present continuous tense, and your reply is I am working on the project. The focus is what is the ongoing action right now? How long have you been working on the project? Is present perfect continuous, to which you say, I have been working on the project for 2 hours. The focus is on the duration of the project and the ongoing action. Now let's look at the 3 types of conditions under which this tense is used. 1, if you're talking about continuous action in the past until now. I have been studying English for 3 years. This started in the past. It's continued up to the present moment. Notice that the emphasis is on the duration. They have been waiting for the bus for over an hour, which means that they are tired of waiting. It's been a long wait. 2, temporary action or situation. She has been working on a project this week. Of late, this is how she has been spending her time, a situation that has been happening recently. 3, repetition of an action. It's used to describe an action that has been happening repeatedly over a period of time. He has been practicing the piano every day. Now it's time to look at the structure of the 3 different types of statements in the present perfect continuous tense. In the positive form, the structure will be subject plus have has plus been plus present participle. Base form plus ing. Now you know that we use the auxiliary verbs of have or has, and if you want to know more about have and has, I'll leave you a link below. Been is always used with have or has to indicate the continuous aspect of the action. They have been playing basketball since morning. In negative statements, subject has have not been present participle ing form of the main verb. The not comes before been. He has not been feeling well recently. Oh dear, I hope he feels better soon. The structure for questions is has have, subject, been, present participle ing form of the main verb, question mark. The position of has have interchanges with the subject as it does in every question. Have you been practicing the piano? And now there is a quiz on your screen. I want you to write the answers in the comments below and I'll give a shout out to one of you in the future video. And if you have any further questions on tenses, drop them from me below and I'm going to see you next Friday. Happy learning.